Okay, first of all, sir, can I have your name and a correct spelling for your last name, please?
Earl Harris, last name is Harris.
Earl, where are you from?
Columbus, Mississippi.
Okay, and you'll be looking at me.
Okay.
Not into the camera. How long you lived in Columbus?
About 30 years
Oh yeah, do you like it?
so far.
So far, so good.
Yeah.
You had West Nile virus.
Yes, sir.
Do you know when you were bitten by the mosquito, or do you know when things started looking pretty bad for you?
It was around June 2013.
And how did you feel at that time?
Real sick.
How sick were you? I mean, how did you know? What were symptoms you had?
Started having, well, it started off like I was having the flu or a virus. Then I started having cold chills on one side of my body, and then I was red hot on the other side of my body. And then it got to where I couldn't move, and everybody thought I had a stroke when it first come down. And then they put me in the hospital, and they kept running all these tests and doing stuff. And first they thought I had Lyme disease, and then they ruled that out. And then they started doing more tests, and they knew it was some kind of insect infection or something, but they just didn't know what.
Did you know what it was?
I didn't have a clue. I just knew I was sick.
And how long did this go on for?
I was in the hospital, I think, for around 10 days, and my temperature would run up to like 107. They just kept giving me medicine and doing tests and changing out sheets. That's all I basically remember of it.
So it's affected your memory?
Oh, it's affected my memory, my eyesight. It affected my liver, my kidneys, and my colon, my nerve system. I mean, it's just you wouldn't think it until it happens to you.
Do you remember when you were coming out of it and you were actually getting better?
Not really, because it's like it's a lot. It's like you never get over it. One day you feel good, and the next day it's like you wore out, and you just have no energy or nothing, and so you just kind of, it gets depressing.
I can imagine that part of it. How did they treat you? What was the treatment for what you were going through and your symptoms? You're saying that you were in the hospital. They were just changing sheets and they thought you had all this other stuff.
They was running all types of tests on me, and they would give me different types of medicine to try to break the fever, and then when they thought they had the fever broke, it would come back. And like I said, at the time, I was so sick in there that I don't know all the stuff they was doing. I do know this: they took a lot of blood from me.
And so they were running a lot of tests.
Yes, sir.
Yeah. So were you in the hospital for a total of 10 days?
Yes, sir. I checked myself out after 10 days.
Well, why'd you check yourself out?
Because they wouldn't make no headway to me, and it didn't change. I was still doing the same thing. I would have a fever and it would break. I'd have a fever and it would break. And I just made a remark, I can take Tylenol at home, but they was giving me a lot more than that. And then they took a bunch more blood tests, and a doctor talked to me that Saturday morning, and he agreed with me until they could understand what was actually going on.
It was probably very frustrating at that time.
Oh, it was very, and I got zero tolerance for patience, and it just, it was taking its toll on me.
How'd you hold yourself together?
I had a family I had to worry about taking care of, and I felt like I'd get better real soon, but over the period it's had, it's went down. I started getting a little better, and then it started happening again. Then I had a relapse around June, July in 2015, and it was like all over again. It was just like just like it just started all over again. It pulled me down, and that was pretty much it.
Did it impact your work or your relationships with your family, your children, your wife? I mean, how much of a stress was it?
It took a toll on all of us, and the Lord's what kept us together, because I lost my business. I couldn't maintain my work. I couldn't deal with clients. So if you can't work and you can't deal with clients, you can't make a living. And I didn't have no energy, and and my head hurts all the time, which it never goes away. I would wear out so fast, I get so frustrated, it just, I didn't want to be around nobody.
What line of work are you in?
I had a construction company. I did all types of dirt work. And, you know, you stress a lot because you got to have everything just so when you're putting grades and stuff down. And I got where I couldn't deal with the pressure anymore.
And you had people working for you?
At the time I did, yes. I had many as 15 to 20 people at times.
And what happened to them?
They've gone on down the road, and finally, luckily, they've got them, you know, another job doing the same kind of stuff in the construction.
Right.
And I just had to shut down.
So your stream of income kind of dried up for a while?
It diminished, yes.
Yeah. Was being treated for West Nile, was that expensive for you?
Yes, it's still expensive. Even with insurance, you just don't, you know, you have so much other expenses you have to deal with. And it makes it rough when you're used to, you know, having a little something and maintaining your life to where you have to just start all over, and you just have to deal with what comes along day to day.
Give me the total time frame that you had all of the symptoms for West Nile. I mean, was it a matter of weeks or months? Can you put a time frame on it?
It took about 2 or 3 weeks before it just set. I mean, you know, I was feeling bad, and then when it set in, it just laid me down. And like I said, my wife and them, they took me to the emergency room, and they had to get me out of the car. I couldn't even. I mean, it didn't, you know, they thought, like I said again, they thought I'd had a stroke, and then from that day on, it's just every day's a fight, and you wouldn't think it, but it is.
Did you look normal? I mean, it doesn't look like there's anything.
That's one of the hardest parts about it. You'll be out talking to somebody, and they say, "Well, I've had West Niles. It ain't, you know," and you sit there and say, "You know, you don't want to wish this on your worst enemy, because it affects you internally, it affects you physically, and it affects your everyday life."
And since 2013, when you got West Nile virus, what has your life been like? What kind of lingering effects are you still dealing with?
I deal with, I have headaches 24/7. And when I say 24/7, I've got a headache right now. But sometimes of the day, it gets to hurting so bad, you know, no matter what you take for it, you know, it doesn't help. You say you don't have no energy. I have no control over it. I mean, I can be looking like I'm feeling good, then all of a sudden I've got to go lay down and go to sleep. You know, and in my head I'm saying I don't want to go to sleep, but you're gonna go lay down because you're not going nowhere else. It messes with you. You know, you have aches and pains in places that you never knew. You know, and it affects you because you can't get out with your family and do the everyday things that you're used to doing. You know, used to you could jog a mile or something like that. Now you do good to walk to the mailbox without, I mean, having to sit down. You run out of breath. It affects it impacts your whole body. It's impacted my life real bad.
So you were saying that your faith got you through a lot of it. How does your faith and your family help you through it now?
We talk about it, and people come to realize that, you know, it's serious. Because when you see somebody that people thinks when you're ill or you're disabled or something, you know, you've got physical things they can look at and tell. This is something you can't just look at somebody and say, "Hey, look, you know, he's in bad shape." It's just not that type of a disease.
You were referring to a couple of things that it prevents you from doing, but what are the things that you used to enjoy doing a lot that you really can't do much of now?
Just getting outside and going and working and you know, and enjoying life. I mean, but now you can't stand the heat. Heat pulls you down. I mean, I'm talking about very little heat pulls you down worse than, you know, I'm used to being outside all day because I had a construction company. I'm an outside person. Now I spend a lot of time under an air conditioner. Don't even get in the swimming pool or go swimming or, you know, get on the boats or go out in because you can't stand, you know, it's like you got to be in the shade or something all the time. You don't have the energy where you can, you know, I don't even go shopping with my wife because I can't stand to walk. I get to hurting so bad I just have to sit down. So it's took a lot away from me.
And is this the first time you've come to the support group?
No, this will be our third trip.
Third trip?
Yes, sir.
Why come to the support group?
I would like to get all the knowledge I could about this disease and what makes it tick. And hopefully they'll find something that will cure it so people can live a lot better.
Are you also here for like more emotional support, seeing that there are other people that are suffering with just like you are?
These support groups are good for people that has had the West Niles. The number one thing is they understand what you're going through. So it's kind of like a second family. You know, they can reach out with each other when you're expressing what problems you've been having, and they can share their problems with you. And it gives you some encouragement that maybe you could try something different that's helping them a little bit that might help you. You know, so it's there's just not enough of them.
What would you say to people that may be watching right now about West Nile virus that they probably don't know or take for granted?
West Niles it's something so small that can do so much major damage to you that, you know, you need to take all your precautions. And if you don't know anything about it, start researching it, especially if you've got children. Because if they love to be outdoors, make sure they're prepared to best they can to keep from this, because it really affects your lives.
Okay. Thank you very much for your time. We do appreciate it.
All right. Thank you.